We're doing good, enjoying the bye week. Wrapped up 2 practices this week. Mike Norvell and the team, not a lot of breaks with this program. So at least we'll have some practices to talk about and maybe the future of the rest of this season too, which is going to be a fun one.
We were about a quarter and a half into this game, and it was 14 all, competitive game. And then obviously, then it got away, 20 straight points out of Clemson. And then FSU, I got to say, once it got to a certain point, I was off to some other games. And then I saw a little life, and I cut back for the final 4 or 5 minutes, saw a couple touchdowns and an onside kick and a little bit of hope there at the end. So what's your basic take on this one?
Yeah, Florida State, once again, starts off hot. One of the best teams in the country on the first drives. I think Mike Norvell and what Coach Atkins are able to do to start off games is excellent, definitely in that first quarter. But it was plain and simple. Florida State cannot play 4 quarters right now, at least against good teams. They're able to do it against Boston College, able to do it against Duquesne. They were able to squeeze out a couple more quarters against Louisville, but when they're facing good teams and ranked teams, they don't play 4 full quarters, and that's where we're wondering now. We now have a good feeling of what this team is. That they're good and they will continue to fight, but they're just not up there yet with some of those teams that Florida State has played in the last 3 weeks. And you could argue that, yeah, they've stayed in them. Absolutely. In that Clemson game, they fought. I think they had a much better chance to win that NC State game out of those 3. Wake Forest is going to be hard to play catch up. The Clemson game, it felt over there. Not really at halftime, but once Will Shipley had that 69-yard return, that was like a dagger. And I give that team props to continuing to play and fight. That's something that hasn't been a problem this year for FSU, and that goes to show what Mike Norvell has been able to do in the locker room and changing that culture, because you look in years past and there's players on that team that didn't want to play out there and then third and fourth quarter, and you go out there and see Jordan Travis lead and get down the field with Cameron McDonald, Johnny Wilson, and then eventually finds Kentron Portier. I was right there down on the sideline like, okay, so there might be a little something here. And then you also saw the success that they were having against Clemson's front 7, which we had talked about, of the elite talent that they have there. And Coach Atkins was able to get the run game going there with Trey Benson, along with Lawrence Toafili. They were making holes, and they made some big holes. And, you almost had a big time takeoff run from Trey Benson, but the turf, the field got him, sadly. But that's looking like a 6-point in favor for Florida State. Just a little irritating. That's the thing. The little irritating tiny things that didn't go in Florida State's favor. But I love the fight out of them. It's now the irritating part, and then Mike Norvell's the same way. It's just irritating. You can't finish. It's Derek McLendon said after the game, there's just little things that they're not executing on to take advantage of opportunities. You go back to where DJ had the long pass for Clemson for that explosive touchdown to his wide receiver that put up an easy 6. Kevin Knowles had a wide open blitz sack there that missed tackle. That could have even been a takeaway if Kevin Knowles is able to come down with that tackle. And I think that's what's kind of irritating the staff a little bit. They're not going to say it to us, to the media, but those little things, man, can change the game. And just a sack there would help Florida State a ton and not allow Clemson to put up any points. Like I said, could have been a turnover. Just those little small things that Florida State still as a program is trying to get better at. But the fight, the will to try to come back, and you got a quarterback that is very determined to get down on the field and, risk everything to put some points on the board is nice to see.